You're listening to the Multiverse Fan Cast, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
Be ready. All right then. On with the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Multiverse Fan Cast. If you're listening to us on the go, you can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio. You can even tell your friend Alexa to play our podcast. Alexa, play the Multiverse Fan Cast. I hope it started turning on in your house randomly. But anyway, as always, I'm one of your hosts, Paul. With me today in the studio is Ronnie. Ronnie, how are you today?
You know, I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Good. And we also have Rob. Rob, how are you today?
I am back from vacation, and I am tan, and I am good.
Just has to rub it in our
He's
face.
tan, and he's the man. With the master
I'm
plan.
well rested.
Well, just keep rubbing it in our faces.
Let's do this.
But yes,
What do you mean rubbing at your faces? You don't work either during the summer.
He can't even reach.
I got to go back to work on Monday. I'm very excited.
Ooh.
But so we are very excited. Work. But we are very excited because we are finally here to talk about 2021's The Suicide Squad, not to be confused with Suicide Squad, which came out 5 years ago to the day almost.
Yeah,
at the time of recording. But we have been eagerly anticipating this movie. Some of us more hopeful DC moviegoers.
Hey, if you haven't checked it out yet, please check out on the misfitfaction.com my essay about how the Suicide Squad represents a significant, and this is before I saw it, the Suicide Squad represents a significant step in the right direction for DC and for Warner Brothers. So please read my essay because I make some very good points.
His article was also way more articulate than he tried to be just now. That was
thank you for recognizing. I sometimes come across better with written words.
For me, it's only when I write in crayon. But yes, check out that. You can also check out our previous episode where we did talk about the DC universe and where it was and where we were going. And just so you guys know, I don't know if anybody knows, but according to producer Ronnie, also co-host Ronnie, according to numbers, our DC numbers higher downloads than our Marvel episodes. So weird.
When you're that great, what is there to say?
Well, what if?
That means there's more DC fans than Marvel fans.
Okay.
There's more angry Marvel fans or angry Marvel fans that hate DC that just want to hate on it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure none of the people in DC have tried suing their own studio. But anyway,
for good cause, I might add.
yeah, we will
Yeah, we
not.
talked about it.
We did discuss
We did
Scarlett
say
Johansson.
The Disney's clutching onto those dollars way too much.
There is nothing funnier though. One of the best memes I saw was the scene of her fighting Hawkeye in Civil War, and like the top part was like, "We're still friends, right?" And then underneath it's actually Mickey Mouse, and it goes, "Depends on how hard you sue me."
I just want to point out on that too that Disney came back with like, well, how could you ask during this time of the pandemic?
Yeah.
I believe it was Disney that laid off something like 32,000 people during the pandemic too. So
just to keep making billions of dollars. Every year.
I'm not buying that, Disney.
Yeah,
we stand with SCOJO. I'm gonna get those pins made.
Yeah, well, if you guys listened to our last episode, I know Rob wasn't here, and I don't think he got a chance to listen to our DC episode yet, because he wanted to also do his article without hearing our bias first.
Yes.
I think our previous episode on DC, we were very objective. Like as much as I'm a big fan of the DC universe, and Ronnie's he's in between. He likes Marvel, he likes DC. I like Marvel, I really do, but I'm a I'm a DC guy through and through. But we were very adamant that Scarlett Johansson's doing the right thing. For me, as convenient as it is for all these movies to be out on HBO Max and Disney Plus and all that, I still going to the theaters, supporting our theaters, and supporting our stars. Scarlett Johansson's a great actress. She does great work. Black Widow's been a great character and a staple of the MCU for such a long time. So to have her getting shortchanged, basically. It doesn't sit well. It doesn't look good for Disney. We discussed it. Same thing happened with Spider-Man.
Yeah. And she's also standing up for future precedent too, because this will, if she doesn't solve this now, this will be a problem for future stars that might not have as much clout as she does.
Yeah, because HBO Max has already said that starting next year they're going back to their standard.
Delta has other plans.
We'll see what happens, but
the airline.
As long as it's not Spirit Airline, otherwise everybody's screwed. But HBO Max has already said that they have plans on going back to releasing their movies, and then I'm sure they'll do something like if you have the HBO Max with no ads, you'll get early access to it or something like that, which is fine as long as as long as the people that make these things that we love so much, are supported.
Well,
and
I think HBO painted themselves in a corner because they announced, we're putting all of our movies for the year out on HBO Max, and then Disney was like, we're doing it too, but you're going to have to pay a premium charge and HBO went, damn it, why didn't we think of that?
I think HBO Max did the smarter move because A, it makes them look less greedy, and B, they were a new, like, the biggest thing HBO Max unfortunately had going for it was Friends. Like, that's what everybody was talking about, that HBO Max, that Friends was getting taken off of Netflix, which is ironic considering I just started watching Friends. I'm on season 5, producer Melanie-ish. But and I thoroughly enjoy it. So it's been beneficial. And then DC Universe kicked the bucket and everything got moved over there. Yeah. So I think HBO Max did the better move in my opinion.
But like I would have paid for it for Suicide Squad.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If they had decided it's like $20 a movie or $30 a movie, whatever it is, for
paid.
Like we've discussed this too. I know Rob, you have wife, son, so like you going out to the movies financially,
it's like $100
it's a total different thing than like when producer Melanie and I go to the movies with Ronnie and his girlfriend. Like it's
not when this show comes out.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing she doesn't listen. But
well, by the time this comes out,
it comes out Monday. Yeah,
Ronnie's proposing to his girlfriend this weekend.
Yes, I am. After he was just swooning over Margot Robbie for the last 3 hours.
It's all right.
And the movie was only 2. It was so weird.
It's all right. Hopefully she says yes before she hears this.
Is that why he stuck around in my house for an extra hour?
Just your bathroom.
Yeah.
But, like when we go out to the movies, we're paying like $12 a ticket, and that's being generous, and then it's
popcorn and
25, 30
on snacks and the
that.
collectible cups.
But like we also go for the experience. We love going to the movies. We love spending time with friends, and like I said, supporting our theaters, supporting the people. Because unfortunately, it's kind of like the Nielsen ratings for television. Like television was still going on. How many people were watching live on that channel, and that's what made a show successful. And it's only more recent years that they're like, well, Netflix and DVRs and on demand, like all those numbers, they count too.
So
you got so many shows being saved by Netflix and streaming services afterwards, where they get these huge numbers.
Like
Manifest, which is another show that we just started watching. We got hooked almost immediately.
It's a great show. I mean, they're in talks of Netflix picking it up, but nothing's official that it's going to be, though.
Yeah. But we are going to move along on it because tangent-wise, we're going nuts.
Let's segue then into more news.
Well, I do have a little bit of news before we get into the actual movie news. In the next week, you are going to see pictures on the Misfit Faction. We went to Terrificon over in Mohegan Sun this past weekend. We got some great memorabilia, some great pictures. Producer Melanie met Christopher Atkins from Blue Lagoon and the Pirate movie. She got autographed pictures. Really cool guy. We chatted with him for like 25, 30 minutes. Just super. Conventions are very interesting because, especially the smaller ones, they'll chat with you forever. Yeah. I think 2 years ago we went to Fan Fest over in Jersey, and I met Matt Ryan, who plays Constantine, and he chatted with us for like 10, 15 minutes, like just kind of shooting the shit with us, which was really cool. But we got some new decorations that Rob hasn't seen for the.
I
got a new Supernatural poster, a new Superman poster. Yeah, like some really cool stuff.
Yeah, I was away on vacation, so I couldn't go to Terrificon this year.
Well, we made the impromptu decision.
I hope to join next time.
Yeah, I almost bought a new Thor's hammer, a new Mjolnir that was like 40 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
that's called a hammer.
Well, it was in a mold. It's like almost like a sword in the rock that it's in the first Thor movie. Yeah. And he's like, "Go ahead, pick it up." So I went to pick it up. I was like, "Oh, jeez." Handed it to Sean. Sean fell over.
You're not worthy.
I know, right? I was worthy. I got a picture. But we had a lot of fun. So be on the lookout on our Instagram, the Misfit Faction, for some pictures coming up soon. And also Bibliophiles Assemble, because of course producer Melanie made friends with aspiring comic book studio artists and got an autograph book and pictures with them and a beer from them.
I got to check out all your swag.
Yeah, we got some good stuff. But let's jump into actual news, Rob.
All right, continuing on some of the news that we've had. We have an official release date for Hawkeye. It's coming out November 24th on Disney+, which, as you know, Disney always says, well, we're going to do the 24th, but we're also going to do the 23rd and give you a sneak peek. So who knows when that'll be coming out. And that'll be a weekly show. And I know I'm looking forward to. I wasn't looking forward to it. I was like, because Hawkeye has never been one of my favorite characters.
Mm-hmm.
He's fine. He's fine. He's a B+ superhero. There. He's fine. But
we're gonna be talking about G-list superheroes today. So,
but then Haley Steinfeld. Is that how you say her name? I think she's amazing. I saw her in The Edge of 17, and she's fantastic.
Pitch Perfect 3.
I never saw any of the Pitch Perfects.
Oh, really?
No, sorry.
I have.
Bumblebee, she was in, which she was fantastic.
I have it on the DVR. I haven't watched it yet.
True Grit, which she was nominated for.
Very talented.
She's amazing, so I'm excited for that. So that piqued my interest, and then I found out that Florence Pugh is in there playing Yelena, and I'm like, all right, I'm sold.
Oh, we kind of got that from Black Widow.
Huge fan of hers. Midsommar is one of my favorite films, so...
More of a winter and fall kind of guy.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
Winter,
something that only I'm going to talk about for a minute because my two co-hosts don't know too much about it. We got our first trailer, our first glimpse at the Hulu FX adaptation of Y: The Last Man.
It's weird how Rob assumes that I don't know anything about Y: The Last Man.
Oh, you know something? I asked you a minute ago, and you're like,
Well, I also know that Shia LaBeouf tried to get Y: The Last Man started a few years ago, and then he got sued for plagiarism.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah, so FX has been working on Y: The Last Man for a long time. They've been trying to adapt it.
It was a 60 comic series. I read them. I loved them. It's actually one of the few comics to actually win as many awards as it did, and it won the Eisner Award like 3 times. It's about a disease happens. I forget exactly why, but it wipes out every single male species on the planet except for this one guy. And I should add that it's not a comedy. No. I mean, it's
Vertigo.
There are a couple comic elements to it, but for the most part, it's played straight, and it's really neat because you get to see like just how many things don't function on the planet as a result of all the men dying, which only shows the gender gap that much more so in its themes, and seeing that just how shut out women are in so many jobs in this world, which is kind of neat. So I'm very excited for it. We also saw the latest trailer for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Why did he take off his shirt? I don't know.
It looks fun. It looks like a nice palate cleanser for Marvel, that it's not relying on too many other things. It's kind of something new. It
looks like it's going to be their formula. It's going to be their Ant-Man.
I'm hoping it's not.
Unfortunately, it's an origin story for a character, and as much as we love our Marvel movies, we have all mentioned at one point or another, though, that they are formulaic, especially
I say that.
Especially the first movie introducing a character. It's going to hit all the same beats. It's going to, like, even just watching the trailers, I'm like,
I kind of got that a little.
I'm
still excited for it.
I'm very excited, but it looks like Kung Fu.
Because it does have Kung Fu Iron Man.
He has problems with his family. There's a father figure that's
but there's
evil.
no drinking problem.
There's technology. Yeah, there's no drinking problem.
Have you ever seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?
Yes.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. I got some vibes from that.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping we lean more towards that. And if you haven't seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, I highly encourage you to.
My
see
biggest worry about Shang-Chi is it's going to turn more into CGI-relied fight scenes.
Mm-hmm.
That's like watching these trailers, especially now that we've seen more of like how the 10 rings are, because they're very different in the comics. They're literally
on the fingers.
They're 10 rings that each have a different power.
Yeah.
So, and the Mandarin was famous for using them, but in this, like, I was hoping for more like Daredevil, even Iron Fist fight levels.
Yeah.
But this movie's starting to look way like. Don't get me wrong. There's a couple of cool scenes, like him on the bus when he does the scissor kick and then fixes his jacket. Like, that's a great shot.
It's way too techy.
It looks like it's going to go a little CGI at certain points, which is fine in certain points.
Yeah.
But I want to. I hate to say, like, especially considering we're talking about the Suicide Squad tonight, which is a very rated R. DC movie, and DC, say what you will about the DC universe or DC in general, they're not afraid to do these R-rated movies. There are a lot of R-rated DC movies, not just in the DCEU, but also in years past. So, like,
there have been some of their
Joker's won Academy
ones.
Awards. Constantine was an R-rated movie back with Keanu Reeves. Like, they weren't afraid to do their R-rated ones. Marvel, especially the MCU, there will never be a rated R.
Birds of Prey was the first of in the DCEU to be released as an R-rated film.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the R rating and whether or not it helped Suicide Squad or heard it.
And then finally, we got a trailer for Venom 2.
Let Rob get out of the theater.
Let there be carnage.
I am very excited.
This is where we part ways.
No, that's fine. I am excited because I think Carnage looks so comic accurate.
Yes, I agree with you.
They apparently in either China or Japan, they started releasing actual statues of the characters for promotional use in theaters. They showed pictures of the Carnage one, and oh my god, ripped from the comic book.
Yeah,
I was afraid he was going to have the same problem that Riot did, where it looks just like Venom and it's dark and it's I can't tell who's fighting what and who's where.
Oh yeah, I remember. That.
And I also like how Venom addresses it. He's like, "Oh shit, it's a red one."
Yeah, and
he's like, "What's the difference?" So I hope that they talk about why Carnage is worse, how he gets created in this.
Yeah. See, I'm scared.
Why are you scared?
Because
did he scare you?
No. Well, yes, but no. We saw the Venom trailers, and we were like, "Ooh, yeah," and now we're kind of like, "Ooh, yeah," with this one. But Venom was a letdown.
Venom was a letdown, but if you listen to our Venom episode, it was a very, very, very interesting episode because for Rob, there was nothing he liked.
Absolutely nothing.
For Ronnie and I, there were things that we liked, but we also acknowledged it wasn't a good, structural-wise movie.
The only thing it has going for it is that Tom Hardy is all fully committed to that performance.
Yes. But I also enjoy that in these, we've had 2 trailers for Venom now, and in both trailers they're really showing how the dynamic between Venom and Eddie has evolved and grown. And even in these 2 different trailers, it looks different.
Yeah. And actually that was what did it for me, because when I saw the first trailer for Venom 2, I was like, all right, maybe they learned a couple things and maybe they changed some things. And then I saw this second trailer and I went, oh, they are repeating the same exact mistakes that they made in the first one.
I'm very curious to see, because at some points it looks like Venom's talking down to Eddie, because I feel like I'm watching the trailers, and this isn't spoilers, this is pure speculation if you've seen the 2 trailers. I have a feeling...
spoilers for Venom.
For the original.
Yeah.
But we find out in the second trailer that Anne gets engaged to Dan.
Yes,
which is great. I thought Dan was a great character, and I'm glad they're bringing him back. And the scene where Venom smacks smacks Dan for him is funny. But I find that I think the scene where Venom breaks his nose happens after, he goes into a depression when he finds out that Anne's engaged now. So I think that's so structurally wise. The beginning is gonna is them actually taking down bad guys and getting rid of bad guys, and then he finds out that Anne's engaged, and he gets all sad and depressed.
You know what? I feel like, so when we see the Carnage thing, and Venom hides.
Yeah, it's a red one.
You know what that is? That is the Hulk and Bruce Banner.
It reminded me of that dynamic a little bit.
Yes, where was it Endgame, where in
Infinity
War, right? Excuse me. Where he's like, all right, come on, come out, let's go, come on. And that's exactly what they're doing here.
So for those of you guys who don't know, in the comics, symbiotes, they reproduce asexually. So in the comics, when the Venom symbiote went to break Eddie Brock out, it left a spawn behind unknowingly. And in the comics, the spawns are stronger than the original. So Carnage is stronger than Venom. And we see that in this trailer, we see Carnage is doing some crazy things.
Which is why Carnage will not die, and that's why we will see a team up in the 3rd movie.
Well, also, Carnage is very different than Venom. Venom and Eddie Brock are 2 separate individuals. Venom is living with Eddie Brock. Carnage and Cletus Cassidy, their bond was so profound that they actually combined into one entity. So whereas Venom will be like, we are Venom, or we are going to do this, Carnage refers to himself as I, and his symbiote is so ingrained into his body that it's in his blood. So even when the symbiote's been removed, it eventually will regenerate inside Cletus Cassidy, because that's how profound their bond is. It's to the cellular level.
Some of the things that have me worried are, first of all, the director. You have Andy Serkis directing. As an actor, top notch, amazing. His Gollum is iconic, but as a director, he's not really proven. He did what's the Mowgli one? One of the Mowgli,
one of those Jungle Book
ones, and didn't go anywhere with that. And he's as a director, he probably knows how to coax great performances out of his actors, but as in terms of putting a narrative together and especially with special effects, I don't know how good he is at it. It looks like to me the movie a imagine taking the first movie, pouring water on it and having all the colors wash away, and then finding out underneath that it's a paint by numbers, and now they're just repainting the numbers again, and because it looks like no different than the first one in terms of the same bad dialogue, the same stock two-dimensional characters. There will be some comic book fan service with some great images, and it will probably look good. But in terms of a storyteller, I don't.
I'm more excited that Andy Serkis is directing it. For somebody that's done such great work with motion capture and creating characters that aren't technically there. I think he's a great choice for a character like Venom. I would have preferred to see him do the first movie and establish, because unfortunately, even with Suicide Squad, which we're going to talk about, you're still going off the previous work to a point.
And then Ruben Fleischer, he directed the first one, I think. I believe it was Ruben Fleischer, who also did Zombieland. Zombieland, very good movie, funny, great pacing. It moves, and it's under an hour and a half too. Like, it's a quick in and out. It knows how to tell its story and get out. And I feel like he made a good movie with Venom, and then Sony came in and said, "That's great, thanks. We'll take it from here."
Yeah,
which is again our segue into Suicide Squad.
But I think first we will take a quick break, and then when we come back, we are going to break down. We'll do a spoiler-free section, and then we'll do full-on spoilers. You'll get a warning in between. But first, a quick break. Today's episode is brought to you by Ray's Energy Drinks from Rep Sports. Whether you're trying to crush your afternoon workout or just need a little extra pick-me-up, Ray's Energy is just the boost that you're going to need. So if you go to repsports.com and any product that you order, enter the code MISFIT89 at checkout to receive 15% off. Anything that you guys buy from that store helps our network grow, and we fully appreciate everything you guys do. That's MISFIT89 at checkout, repsports.com. All right, we are back, and we are excited. We are pumped. Ronnie's yawning, so we had to wait to start, but now we're here. I'm just kidding, buddy. Tired.
Thanks for blowing up my spot.
At least you weren't burping. Rob.
That was one time.
It was legendary. But so we are here, and this is going to be our non-spoiler section on the Suicide Squad.
Which will be brief.
I'd say 10, 15 minutes.
Because I will say within the first 5 minutes, we get a lot of spoilers.
Yes. Yeah. So we are not going to talk about character deaths. We're just going to kind of talk about the general feel of the film, what worked, some of the things that we enjoyed. Yeah, general feel. But so let's start off. This movie was directed and written by James Gunn. Now, for those of you guys who didn't hear, we talked about it in our last episode, James Gunn basically got removed from Marvel because some old. Did any of you guys see these tweets that he got fired over?
I heard about them.
Yeah,
I saw them. I get it.
Wasn't he making fun of like child abuse or something like that?
Like pedophilia, and it wasn't a good look. And unfortunately, like, don't get me wrong,
it was an old tweet.
Tweets. Plural.
Okay.
It was not just one tweet. Yeah. It was a series, and it was pictures, and it was not just like, I think pedophiles are great. Like, it wasn't something like that. Full disclosure, we don't. Just so we're clear, that was not something we said. But
the Misfit Faction and Cinematic Adventures, as well as Multiverse Fan Cast, does not stand for child abuse or sexual.
We just did our Rocketeer episode, and we're like, we don't agree with Nazis. Get them out of here. But so it was a series of tweets and photos, and like,
and I think they were like 10 years old too.
It definitely had some age to it. But Marvel, or not even Marvel, Disney removed them because Disney has a very strict. Disney.
I don't like those.
Say what you will about Disney, but they do have a very strict
family-friendly
expectation of who's involved with them. You know, like when the Jonas Brothers were the big thing, everybody talked. Oh, they wear their purity rings because South Park does a great episode on all that.
I think I've seen it actually.
Like, it is so funny and just so good. But so they removed him, and Warner Brothers, in one of their smart moves, snatched him up immediately, and they gave him free reign. Apparently, they offered him a Superman project. They offered him, God, I would love to. Suicide Squad, like anything he wanted. Basically, Keys to the Kingdom. He even played around with the Suicide Squad going after a brainwashed Superman, which is now going to be the basis of the video game that they're doing. I would have loved to see James Gunn do Justice League.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't know how he would handle Batman. That makes me a little.
Yeah, he's got a certain sense of humor to him. And I think we can all agree he's got sort of a sick sense of humor.
Yes, if you have not seen the movie Super
and Slither,
I'm going with Super just because it is a superhero movie.
Oh, yeah.
It has not. There's one scene that has not aged particularly well, but otherwise it's a fantastic movie.
James Gunn also has his roots in Troma Studios. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Troma Studios. Troma Studios are the ones that Lloyd Kaufman, I believe it was. They did the Toxic Avengers series. Like they were Roger Corman was involved in a lot of the Troma stuff. It was like a lot of like really low budget, like gory horror stuff, but with a comic twist to it. Like all of the Troma stuff is like they had another film called Tromeo and Juliet. Like it's like, really bat-ass off the wall kind of stuff.
But he was a great pick, and this is the project that he wanted, and just it was a great choice for it.
Yes.
Yeah, he had one condition, that if he got Guardians of the Galaxy
R-rated.
That he could have Cate Blanchett.
Yeah, and he did. We talked about it in our DC episode. Basically,
wait a minute, I read that wrong.
Carte blanche.
Oh, right, carte blanche.
Yeah. I was just gonna let it go, but he basically WB was like, here's you have free reign. You can do whatever you want with this, and basically they treated it as just like how the comics do, where it's kind of like different writers have different styles, and it's been forever in comics. Like not every comic is the same, even though they're all one story, et cetera, et cetera. They did give him things that they would like, but he had every right to say no.
Yep.
I don't know how much of it, because
I know they gave him a couple notes at the end, and that was about it.
Which is fine.
Yeah, everyone should get some notes.
This kind of movie where characters, especially the G-list characters that we got, like I had to really,
might be worth a Google.
I had to Google a lot of these characters, like Savant and not so much like Rick Flag and Bloodsport, but like
Ratcatcher 2.
Ratcatcher 2. But like some of these guys, you had to dig deep for this one. But we'll go through the cast. We're not going to say who lives or who dies
yet,
but I do want to point out that one of the predictions I made at the beginning did come true.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah, but
same as these.
Yeah. So this is just the list that I have. We got Margot Robbie returning as Harley Quinn. She's perfected Harley Quinn at this point. And I like how she's been in now three. Suicide Squad, Birds of Prey, and now this. And she's very consistent. She's like, there's nothing about her character in this that's like, oh, this is so different.
I think she's deepened and matured it a lot.
Yes. Evidenced by one scene in this movie.
In this one? Okay. I'm interested to hear which scene that was.
No, but they got rid of some of her tattoos, and that's pretty much it. And also, we do get a very good look at how she views the world. And it's a great action scene. If you've seen the trailers, I'm sure you can imagine what we're thinking of. We got Idris Elba, who we love Idris Elba. I think that's a fair... I'm a big fan of his work.
I don't think he's ever done anything that I didn't like.
No. As Robert Dubois, a.k.a. Bloodsport. I hate to say it, but he could have been Deadshot.
I was reading about this, that originally they had Will Smith back, and then they
scheduling issues,
and they brought in, and we debated this last time. Is it Idris or Idris?
Idris Elba.
I forget.
Idris
Elba.
Mr. Elba.
I think we were both wrong when we looked it up.
Yeah, right. I
always say Idris.
But they brought him in to replace Will Smith, and then they decided, well, let's give him a new name, Bloodsport, so that way it gives the option of Will Smith coming back.
Now, I watched this movie, and the first, not to spoil anything, this isn't really spoilers, but the first 20 minutes, I'm like, this is just Deadshot.
It is, because he's got a teenage daughter that he's trying to...
But then once the action starts, you kind of see his style. He's also he's definitely a little bit more bloodthirst, or less moral quandaries than Deadshot. Like, at least Deadshot, he was like, I don't kill women or children, not even for money. Like, I kill just jerks or whatever. So, and then obviously his technology is a little bit different. So, unfortunately, though, like, you could have had either one of them. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
John Cena.
Wait a minute. Wait. Go back to that. What do you mean you could have had?
You could have had Will Smith's Deadshot do the same role.
In this film?
In this film.
Yes. I vehemently disagree on that one.
Okay, and we will get to that.
Yes.
We have John Cena as Peacemaker, who is douchebag Captain America.
That's how he describes himself.
And he is, man. He's like World War II American soldier at the height of propaganda. Like, that is the best way to describe him. Yeah. He believes in the mission. He is literally like, this is America. I will do anything for liberty. He uses some more graphic terms, but
very little bit.
Yeah, he is like literally. He is just like, I'm here for my country. At the same time, he has a tremendous respect for Rick Flag because Rick Flag is technically an American hero. He's a colonel in the United States military. How that plays out.
Quick question for you.
Scene stealer too.
Would Peacemaker and John Walker get along with one another?
I think so.
Yeah,
to a point.
No, actually, no.
Actually, I don't because.
Oh wow, that turned out.
No, I had to think about it because
they would not because they're too similar.
Peacemaker, he has a very skewed perspective of what liberty is, and he'll kill children to get. He says it.
Yes,
I'll kill men, women, children.
He'll do a lot of things for peace.
I don't see John Walker ever killing a child.
Okay.
Even like he never wanted to kill Carly. Like he eventually in spoilers for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I guess.
Yeah.
But he does have the opportunity to do so, and he doesn't. Even with the super soldier serum going through him and his mind slightly warped. All right.
Well, let me rephrase the question then. If the two of them were to have a conversation with one another, do you think they'd find themselves agreeing or disagreeing more with each other?
If it's conversation, they would be agreeing.
Okay. So
I think in actual working together on a mission,
no.
I think it would be very Peacemaker and Rick Flag.
Okay.
As we see in this movie.
Yes. Yeah, because I saw like in Peacemaker a lot of those same like I've got the jurisdiction here kind of vibe that. But
John
Walker had.
I saw more Rick Flag with John Walker. I think the two of them
that makes sense.
I think the two of them are way more in common.
Yeah.
Because Rick Flag is a soldier and he's a colonel and he's very well. Let's talk about Rick Flag, played by Joel Kinnaman. He's next on the list anyway. Different vibe than the first Suicide Squad movie.
Yes,
I liked
him a lot more here.
We all did.
Yes.
I think that's a fair bet. He's obviously been working with Task Force X for a few years now. Him and Harley have a great rapport.
Yeah.
Not a spoiler, but Harley just kind of jumps on the plane in the beginning. She's like, "Well, what did you get arrested for?" I don't remember. And that's comic books though. Like Arkham Asylum is a rotating door. But
all right, I got a question for you.
Yes.
Every time they go on these missions, do they get a new chip in their heads?
I don't think so.
No.
Because we have been constantly seeing them getting injected with chips every time they go on a mission.
Well, Harley needed a new one because hers was deactivated.
Okay.
Yep.
That happened during the first Suicide Squad movie. We do see Savant get his put in.
Right, because he's new. He's not new. Because remember, he said, "I told you I'm not doing these anymore."
He might have said that, and then they were, and then he changed his mind. It's like,
so how many chips do some of these people have?
Probably retire. They let him retire. So they took the chip out because now he can't.
Or they may have a shelf life, or no. I mean, explosives don't last forever.
On that.
Yeah, they're using more as just exposition.
Just a nitpick. Go ahead.
We have Sylvester Stallone as Nanaue.
You got me.
Nanaue. We're gonna call him King
the
Shark.
Giant King Shark. And
he's probably one of our favorite characters in this movie.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're going to compare him to Groot or even Baby Yoda.
But he actually says
comparison.
words.
Yeah, very few. Very few.
A lot more than three.
I don't know, because he's a lot more intelligent. No, I'm sorry. Groot is a lot more intelligent than King Shark.
They're gonna, but like they're gonna make. They've already started making comparisons online.
Okay.
Like even like when Groot kills all the soldiers in when he spears them and he swings them back and forth and he's just yay. And also, like, King Shark's a character that's been in a lot of different he's gotten very popular in more recent years. He was on The Flash, one of the best visual effects on The Flash. God. When they first did King Shark, we were, like, blown away.
Especially for television. That was decent money.
And then they even gave him a character arc. He fought Grodd on The Flash. That was a great episode.
That was.
Yeah. And then he was on Harley Quinn, and I was telling Ronnie that in Justice League Dark with Apocalypse War, I think it was called, which is fantastic if you guys haven't seen it. But King Shark, all he could say is King Shark is a shark. So that's all he says. Like he's like King Shark is a shark,
sort of like an I am Groot kind of thing.
But then at the end, he says to Captain Boomerang, "It's been an honor working with you." And Captain Boomerang goes, "You could talk the whole time," and it's a great moment.
Yeah.
But he's awesome. Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. I didn't think she would be any more gangster. And then she was in this movie, and I was like, she got worse.
Yeah.
Like, because one of my favorite scenes in Suicide Squad is when they save her, and then she kills every person in that room.
Yeah.
And Will Smith's like, And they say, I'm the bad guy. And he walks by, he's like, that's gangster.
Yep.
Walks out. Like, that was Amanda Waller. She is personification of the character from the comics.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to butcher this name. David Dastmalchian?
I have not. It's a better shot than I had at it. So.
Dastmalchian. As Polka Dot Man, Abner Krill. He's an actor who is finally
guy.
He's finally getting his comeuppance.
Yeah,
like he was in Ant-Man, he was
Dark
in
Knight.
Dark Knight, Gotham. Like he's been around a lot. I'm really glad he's and he was great in this movie.
Yeah, he was actually. He was very. I guess he's probably the comedic relief.
Yeah, I feel like they all are.
Yeah, they all are.
But you know what? I wish they had done a little bit more about his backstory. They talk about it where basically his mom was trying to.
That's great.
Well, it also.
Oh, go ahead. Continue for the listeners.
So
his mom
was basically trying to create metahumans.
Yeah, Star Labs.
It's great that they continued that trend because that was always a big topic of discussion in the DC movies. Unfortunately, Marvel didn't start talking about enhancements and super soldiers until a little bit late. Like, they talk about, for the Incredible Hulk, the Abomination's technically a failed super soldier that they used the formula on. And it's not until Wanda and Pietro that they're like, we have enhanced on the field, like, where they're trying to create superhumans. So for DC, it's been a theme ever since Man of Steel. Like, Suicide Squad was about creating a team in case there's a new Superman that's not good. And, Justice League is obviously, depending on which Justice League you watch, like talking about metahumans and the creation. Lex Luthor is trying to get Kryptonite in to stop metahumans. Like there's a lot of talk about metahumans and superpowered beings in the world, and I like showing that this was something that scientists were working on, and this is the failed response to it. Like he even says, like some of his brothers and sisters are alive, some are dead. Like, and now he just sees his mom everywhere.
Interdimensional virus or something.
Yeah, it was. I like when they show that these powers have like burn in some of them. Like as much as like we look at Superman, and he's like perfect, and they show more of the emotional qualms that he has. I like seeing some of the more physical reactions. So I really enjoyed Polka Dot Man in this. Going down, we have another character who I did not expect to really enjoy. Daniela Melchior as Cleo Cazo, also known as Ratcatcher 2.
Yes.
James Gunn has said that she's the heart of this film.
And she really is.
Yes, she is.
We have Jai Courtney coming back as Digger Harkness, a.k.a. Captain Boomerang.
Yep.
I like the glowing boomerangs he had.
Yes.
I like that he actually
cool.
did something.
Yeah. And they also showed how lethal he is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And some of those visuals were like, oh okay.
Yep.
All right.
Right off the bat.
And you can tell he's been there for a while. Like, he's one of the veterans on that team. And, like, I like how Harley's like, oh, hey, Boomer.
Yeah.
Because, obviously she's been around for a while, too. Peter Capaldi as the Thinker.
Yep.
I really didn't.
I wish he had more, because I love him as an actor. He's brilliant. And he's got such, like, a visceral, like, anger to him, and I didn't really see this here. Like I was looking forward to him the same way I was looking forward to Richard E. Grant as classic Loki, because he's in that same vein of acting. And I didn't think he was good, but
he was serviceable.
He didn't. I think they didn't give him enough.
He was more of a minion. Like I hate to say it,
you're not wrong.
He was an evil scientist,
No, he was supposed to be the bad guy. Remember?
Yeah, right. Michael Rooker as Savant. They established what kind of person he is very early on.
Oof, that there was. All right, we will spoil the very first scene for you. Michael Rooker's Savant is in his
cell,
his isolated cell.
Well, he gets his outdoor time.
Oh, okay, and he's throwing a ball around, and there's X's on the walls as to where he can hit and everything. And then this little yellow bird flies in, and he hits it, nails it with the ball, and kills it. And when we were all watching it, like, I felt the air just get sucked out of the room completely. There was like no response. We were like, "Oh my God, what are we watching?" Yeah. But there is
the bird's brother got revenge.
Yeah, there is a huge payoff to that, like about 10 minutes later. So.
Yeah.
Alice Braga as Sol Soria. I don't think she's a character from the comics, but I enjoy Alice Braga. She's another actress that the leader of the Resistance.
Yeah. Oh, that was Alice Braga. I didn't even recognize her.
Yeah. Pete Davidson, who I really don't like, as Blackguard, a mercenary.
And then we have...
You either love Pete Davidson or you hate him.
Yeah. I want to like him.
Yeah.
But I've watched him in SNL. I've watched some of his stand-up, and I'm like, I don't find him funny.
I would agree. I have heard lots of great things about what's his movie recently, the last...
the King of Staten Island
King of Staten
or something.
Island. Yeah, I've heard really great things about
I've heard
that.
very good things. So maybe dramatic is
Because
better for
I will
him.
tell you, I've watched his stand-up too, and I'm like, this isn't great.
Yeah.
But we got Nathan Fillion as TDK.
Yes, I love Nathan Fillion.
I thoroughly enjoy Nathan Fillion. He was, he was fun in this movie.
Yeah.
I enjoy his work. I watched The Rookie for a while, but then I kind of fell off it.
You watched Firefly?
I've seen Firefly. I've seen Serenity.
Yeah.
He's great in those roles. And he just seems like a really cool guy.
He was one of the leads in James Gunn's Slither too. He and James Gunn have done a lot
He was in
together.
Super. He was in Super also.
Was he? Okay.
He played the Jesus superhero. Sean Gunn is Weasel, which was the grossest thing ever. And there's a lot of rats in this movie.
I read that Weasel was modeled after, I don't know if you guys
Bill
will
the
get
Cat.
this, Bill the Cat from Bloom County,
Yep.
which that is a riot because that is completely Bill the Cat.
Flula Borg as Javelin.
Yep.
And Mei Ling Ning as Mongal, excuse me.
Which one was that?
The orange girl.
Oh,
Yeah.
What's her power?
She's an alien.
Well,
Because while I'm watching her, I'm like, is she just really heavy and dense? And she
very strong. So Mongol,
jumps on a helicopter and like pulls it out of the sky, and I don't understand the physics
she's
of it,
related
so.
to Mongol. Mongol is a character in the comics. There's been two Mongols. One,
Okay.
the first one was a big villain. A Superman can go toe to toe with him and match him. The Mongol 2 was more of an ally and helped Superman learn how powerful he actually was in the comics.
Okay.
Very powerful character.
Powerful in what way?
Physically can go toe to toe with Superman.
Okay, so strength-wise.
Strength-wise,
Okay.
very strong.
So she's very strong.
Very strong.
Yeah.
How is she able to pull? Can she fly?
No.
How is she able to pull a hell?
Probably just dense, and also
Okay.
unexpected weight on a helicopter, and probably the force in which she hit it.
I am learning something about density this week in superheroes. We went when we were down at Fantasy Island. They just stuck at one of the, those machines where you put a quarter in and you have to shoot it and it makes other quarters fall and everything. They have one of those now for the Avengers.
Oh, fun.
And all these cards now are in there. They're like that in a lot of the arcades with the Wizard of Oz and stuff like that. So we started playing it. We got a whole bunch of these cards, and one of the cards was for Thor, and on the back it said he weighs 644 pounds. So I'm learning a little bit about superhero density this week.
There's a lot, there's been a lot of books and things like the science of superheroes and stuff like that, where Superman in himself, in reality, would weigh a couple 100 pounds, and he wouldn't be able to support the actual muscle that he would have to do the things. Comic books they play liberties with. Look at Ant-Man. They constantly talk about how in Ant-Man, when he shrinks, he's still got the same density, so that way when he punches, it's like getting hit with a tank.
Yeah.
But Hank Pym's carrying around a small tank in his pocket. It should be just as dense as an actual tank. So
I always had trouble understanding quantum physics in terms of density and black holes and how something so small can be so amazingly dense.
Yeah.
Superhero physics.
All right.
Neil deGrasse Tyson can answer that.
We need Michio Kaku in here.
Yeah, because technically Superman held infinity at one point. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Wonder Woman helped, but apparently holding half of infinity is still infinity.
Yeah.
But anyway, we also had some cameos. We had Pom Klementov, who played Mantis. She played, she cameoed as a dancer in one of the scenes. Calendar Man, Kaleidoscope, and Double Down all made their first live-action appearances, as far as I know.
Yep.
Other than maybe in the Lego Batman movie.
Live-action appearances.
Oh, live action. I missed that part.
Yep. We have
I should have listened to the whole sentence.
Must be a Marvel fan. Taika Waititi plays the first rat catcher. He cameos in a few scenes. I didn't realize it was him during the flashbacks that they show him. It wasn't until they show him talking. And that's really the biggest. There are a couple of other smaller, but we want to keep moving and we want to keep running. So, initial thoughts on the Suicide Squad. I'll go first. I enjoyed this movie for what it was. I enjoyed the R rating of it. I enjoyed how it showed the darker side, but also the comedic side of it shows what DC could do if given the right director and the right script and the right cast. And the violence is fun, which is a terrible sentence. I'm so sorry, but like the violence is funny.
Yeah.
Like King Shark steals it, and he's very entertaining with some of his kills.
Well, James Gunn said that his favorite shot in the movie is that one of King Shark pulling a man apart completely.
Yes, which is in the trailers.
Yes, and he used practical effects for that. Of course,
with the stand-in for
they used a like body and like everything in blood, except for King Shark, obviously.
They benefited from bringing back some of the bigger names from the first Suicide Squad movie, especially Harley Quinn and even Rick Flag, who we didn't have to see the backstory, we didn't have to hear about. Like they were better in this movie.
Yes,
we know these characters. I did enjoy this movie. I wish that it was more connected. It's very disconnected from the DC universe, with the exception of a few mentions. They mentioned that Bloodsport's in jail because he used a kryptonite bullet to put Superman in the ICU, which is comic accurate. He did do that. It was in his first appearance in the comics. But I really enjoyed this movie. It didn't blow me away, but at the same time, it is well worth sitting down and watching, and especially if you've been more hesitant with the DC universe. This is a good indication of what they could do given a no holds barred kind of situation.
Yes.
Ronnie? Rob's going last because
I knew he was going to do that.
Initial thoughts without spoiling anything. Casting is on point. I think they couldn't have replaced anyone with anyone else. There's not one person that stole the show or made the movie like we had in the first one, right? I think we all agree Margot Robbie, Will Smith. That's all you had to know about the first one. This one, you go down the line, everyone had their moment. Everyone was great. Which I was kind of surprised with John Cena because he's a wrestler. What wrestler do you know is a good actor?
The Rock.
Okay, well,
even producer Melanie looked up.
Okay, but how many other wrestlers have you had that have become...
Miz,
Roddy Piper, and They Live?
Was he a good actor? Hulk
Who
Hogan.
cares?
Hulk Hogan was an actor. He was terrible.
Andre the Giant, The Princess Bride.
Terrible. Maybe not the movie, but him.
Oh, I wish
him. I'm just saying.
I think producer Melanie's about to quit.
When you get non-actors other than The Rock, I
would argue that wrestlers are the greatest of actors out there.
Not movie actors. Stunt actors, maybe.
And just drama actors. I mean, some of those storylines they have, weave like all these different tales with one another.
I would love to talk about the movie, though.
Yes. Well, I was trying to.
I got you, boo.
But then also cinematography was on point. Visual effects were on point. I think there's... I'm trying to say stuff without spoiling anything. That's the tough part.
Should we just go into spoilers?
After initial thoughts from everyone.
Sorry, I'm not the host today.
I'll leave it with that. Casting is on point, cinematography is on point, visual effects is on point, and I really dig the music.
Fair. Rob, initial thoughts without spoiling.
Without spoiling. As a character-driven film, I thought it was very strong. I really came to know these people, came to care about a lot of them. I was worried for them at times. Like, the stakes were there. Mm-hmm. There were some... there were character arcs, which was nice, which was one of my big complaints that I had about the first Suicide Squad, that the character arcs were just broken up completely. Mm-hmm. I liked the fact that there wasn't a MacGuffin here, that they weren't going for that thing that has no value anywhere else except for in this movie. Like, it was more about, survival, and it was a military mission, and I thought that was a smart choice too. Yes, casting. I was happy it wasn't too connected to the DCEU because I think at this point DCEU needs to distance itself from a lot of its past projects, just from the lack of popularity and box office, as well as
depends on who you talk to,
as well as the poisoned critical responses.
I
think we can all agree.
Connections.
I think we can all agree, though. Yes. Oh, and I think that's good. I think we can all agree that the critics have not been kind to DCEU movies.
I don't think that plays a factor, though. Like, we talked in Cinematic Adventures, we were really talking about We were joking because we had our guest, our friend Brendan, who's been a big friend of the show, and he's been on several episodes. We talked about how critics are not always right. Critics, especially like Rob. I know you're a big fan of Siskel and Ebert.
No, that's not it. Go ahead.
But I'm
oh yeah, absolutely.
I have never gone in. I hate going into a movie with the critic's ear or the critic's voice in my ear.
Yeah.
These movies, especially nowadays, where if I wanted to hear a critic's thoughts, I had to pick up a newspaper. Mm-hmm. I had to watch their show. Mm-hmm. But now, the second they opened up the news releases for all these movies, like 4,000 previews.
Yeah. I was already looking at Free Guy critical responses, and it doesn't even come out for another week and a half.
And I did not notice how much my mind was already biased when I walked into, and that's why Suicide Squad has been like I'm a little up and down with
Suicide
it.
Squad?
This one, this one, because the initial reviews came out and everyone said how amazing and how mind blowing it is, and I'm watching it going, I'm waiting for my mind to be blown.
Yeah,
but I am their target audience.
Yeah,
I find I find that just some quick backstory. Growing up, I would every Friday. I used to work in a supermarket, and every Friday I would purchase the New York Times, the New York Post, the Daily News, and USA Today, all four newspapers, and I would do it specifically for the purpose of seeing reviews. And I read reviews like crazy when I was in high school, and I wrote reviews when I was in high school for the newspaper too. So I've always had sort of a critic's mindset. So like when I see the critics coming out with stuff, I usually find that I agree with them. But I've noticed too with this one, even though it's at 95%, I think right now, Rotten Tomatoes,
95, 96, something like that, because it's getting review bombed too. Yeah, because that's a thing now.
That's fine. Yeah. But what I always click on with that is
93.
93. What I always click on with that is the tab that says top critics. Mm-hmm. I always want to know what they're saying. Like all the other people that are just, like Joe whatever in his basement. I'm saying that as we're recording in your basement. All these people that claim to be critics and have an opinion. There might be some truth, but I want to know what the people that I grew up reading. And I found that the majority of them were giving this film favorable reviews, but no one was blown away amongst those critics.
And see, this is my issue. You have critics, and the DCEU is a great example of where the critics and the fans do not match in any way. Like this is the first, I think this is the first film in the DCEU where the critics and the fans have been much more even.
Maybe.
You look at, I know you don't like Batman vs. Superman. No. You're indifferent about Batman vs. Superman. I love Batman vs. Superman, especially the director's cut.
I will say the director's cut is a significant improvement.
But even the theatrical cut, the critics and the audience were not lined up. And then you look at something like the release of Snyder Cut and then the Ayer Cut movements. I hate to say it, but those are fan-based movements that generated enough.
Right.
Like you can't. I hate to say it, you can't go based on critics anymore. Mm-hmm. If these movies, so critics said Batman vs. Superman is one of the worst movies of all time, right? A lot of critics did. It's low on the critical score, but it was good enough to create an entire fan culture that pushed a studio to release a project.
So this is the thing with Rotten Tomatoes. The 93% does not mean critics give it like a 9.3 out of 10.
It just means that 93% of critics.
It means 93% of it gave it like a fresh or a rotten.
Yeah.
The actual average rating for, like you said, top critics that you go by, 7.2 out of 10.
Yeah, and to me that is more accurate.
Now, all critics, it's 7.7.
Yes.
Fan rating, right? Fan audience, verified. The verified audience is a 4.4 out of 5. So they have it as an 8.8, while your top critics are all the way down at 7.2.
I still say that critics are just like the Academy Awards. They're dated.
Yes.
Martin Scorsese hates superhero films. He's gone on record saying that they're not real movies. Right. But here we are doing podcasts.
But would you argue that Martin Scorsese doesn't make good films?
No, of course.
All right, so then he must know what he's talking about a little bit.
Obviously not, though.
So... Well,
he specifically said.
Well,
Avengers Endgame is a great movie. It tied up loose ends. It told story arcs. It handled the action, the comedy, the drama, everything. But it's not a real movie?
No, that's not what he said. What he said specifically was that superhero movies are not film. And then you get into, well, what is the definition of what is film? And he's, because he was referring it to film as an art form.
Mm-hmm. I consider Avengers Endgame an piece of art. Comic book, just like how people did not consider comic books valid forms of
and I
literature.
think it will take time before some of these things. See, I think about some films that are art, like something by Fellini or something like that. Like Fellini's 8.5. Okay, that is clearly art, where it's a rumination about a later life crisis and being able to achieve something despite what what the population says. Like, that to me is art. This is like as much as I love these films, I don't know if I could call them art.
But see, art is subjective.
Right.
Take your son Timmy, who's 14, 13?
13.
That was alarming.
Sorry. You threw me.
Timmy's 13.
Yes.
Timmy, show him Schindler's List, which is considered a fantastic movie. I enjoyed that movie. As much as
I know what you're saying.
Like, it's a great movie. Or Citizen Kane.
Right.
Considered the greatest movie of all time. Right. And then show him Avengers Endgame and ask him what he thinks is the better movie. Well, as a 13-year-old boy.
But what do you mean by better? Better in what? And that's the argument.
Issue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like better as in like I think what Martin Scorsese was saying is that, like, you're not going to walk away from the Suicide Squad contemplating life philosophies.
So
I could.
So I think basically what it comes down to, before we move on to back to this movie and go into our spoiler section, I think is Martin Scorsese was saying, like, superhero films, you're not going to be going, that's one of the greatest movies of all time.
That's a lie. I walked out of Avengers Endgame and, producer Melanie was really upset she couldn't go see it with us.
Okay. But you just said Citizen Kane is known as the greatest movie of all time. If you were to make a list of your top 10, let's say, okay, you might have...
That's the difference, though, is that you're using two words interchangeably, movies and film. And I think those are two distinct terms. Like, movies indicate enjoyment. Film indicates, like, internal introspection. Like, at no point during the Suicide Squad,
no matter what, it's a movie.
As much as I enjoyed the Suicide Squad, I didn't get introspective at any point and start to doubt my own life.
Films are movies, but movies are not films.
Films use the movie medium, but they're not necessarily movies because they're not necessarily done for the enjoyment and entertainment value.
So what would you consider Citizen Kane? A film or a movie?
Film.
Okay, so if you're ranking your top 10 movies, that's not on there.
If you were saying what are your top 10 favorite movies, no, I would be like, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future. But if you were to ask me what are the top 10 best films of all time, Vertigo, Citizen Kane, Metropolis from 1927, I would pick those because to me those are two separate categories.
Interesting.
That's you. Like that, and again, that's the issue we run into. I firmly believe that critic reviews should be released a week after the movie comes out. I would love to see the difference in how some of these films, like especially the films that after the first week drop so hard. Because that's another thing that's new because of the ease of accessibility of information. It used to be word of mouth.
Yes.
It used to be Ronnie doesn't get to see the Suicide Squad with me this weekend, so he asked me on Monday, how was it? I didn't like it. Now he doesn't want to watch it. Yeah, that's how it works.
Right, now we all go to social media and see what everyone's saying.
Yes.
On another note, since you were bringing it up, and this is a website I don't spend enough time on, Metacritic. They're a bit more fair in terms of their reviews. Like right now, Suicide Squad is sitting at 74 on Metacritic out of 100, which, to be honest, that seems about right. I think we're all agreement with that.
Yeah.
So let's do our spoiler.
I just wanted to finish up.
Hour.
I just wanted to finish up with my initial thoughts. The problem I did have with the film is I felt at times that the story wasn't connected enough. That there were times where I was like, okay, I don't remember why we're at this spot. Why our characters are here at this point. Like, I felt like it was so focused on the characters that at times it lost the narrative thread. I also found that there were some, like, any moment in a film, a filmmaker should always be asking, how does this contribute either to the story or the characters? And I felt there were some times where he wasn't doing either of those things. That it was just doing it because it was fun. I'll give you a prime example. There was a fight between Peacemaker and someone else. Maybe it was Flag, where it was reflected in his helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I didn't see the...
Spoiler.
Cool. Very cool. Didn't see the point for it, though. It didn't contribute to the story.
Aesthetic purpose.
And that's the thing, is
Director.
that I felt like sometimes he was more for the being weird or the aesthetics, or just, hey, watch, this is going to be really gross.
I think it was because of the comment about it being a toilet.
Did you need to see Drax jump into the giant worm slow motion?
But that contributes to his character because he's impulsive.
But did it make a difference if it was slow motion or regular motion? It's James Gunn's style.
Yeah.
He wanted to do something stylistic. I'm sure in his head he was like, you know, it'd be really cool. And he had carte blanche.
Like there were some times.
So now that we're getting into kind of spoiler stuff, maybe we should give our spoiler warning. This way we can kind of go deep into the movie and give our true thoughts without censoring ourselves almost. You know.
2,
I'm just gonna edit out like 30 minutes.
That's all right.
That's fine.
All right, this is your spoiler warning. We are now getting into it. So if you have not seen the movie, because you were trying to talk and you did not give the spoiler warning, so this is your spoiler warning. So if
I'm pretty sure
you have not seen this movie, please pause and come back to us at a later time after you have seen the movie. So let's get into it. So we have the plot. So the plot of the movie is basically Task Force X with a whole new people of come into... Yeah, I'm going into this because we're at an hour and you guys have been talking nonsense. So
pretty sure you two were
Task Force X...
I think you were involved.
Goes to Quarter Maltese to kind of... Because the government's been overthrown there.
The government's been overthrown.
And there's these Project Starfish that they're trying to get situated, basically.
Which was really cool to see Starro.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, it is ripped right from... It's a very simple... This is your military mission.
Right.
You could tell that Amanda Waller... This is something they do a lot. And they have a rotating list of characters. What was your favorite... All right, so the very first 5 minutes of this movie, they kill...
Hold on, back up. What were we doing 5 minutes before the movie started?
Eating pizza?
No. We were taking
bets.
We were taking bets to see
which ironically they did in the movie, which is great. So
we were trying to figure out who was going to die.
5 minutes in, they have an opening scene where I'd say 80% of the squad dies.
Easily.
What was your favorite character death? And then, all right, so here's what we'll do.
From the beginning?
Throughout the film, one character death that you enjoyed, one character death that you were actually kind of sad about. I'll go first.
I got the second one.
I'll go first. I loved watching Pete Davidson get shot in the face.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I feel like we all were going to say that.
But the death that got me though, besides Captain Boomerang, it was Polka Dot Man. Like full spoilers, guys.
Yeah.
They both die.
Yeah.
Captain Boomerang way shorted. Ronnie?
See, I want to say Pete Davidson, but that's just because it's Pete Davidson.
That's everyone in this country wants to see him.
But also, even
shot in the face.
His character was also
we don't want to do it. We just want to see.
Yes,
his character was a jerk.
But oh my god, I already forgot her name.
Margot Robbie.
God, no, she didn't die.
No,
quiet over there. Mongal.
Yeah,
because I'm happy to see she died because what was the point of it?
Her name's Katana. She's got your back.
Exactly. That's basically who she replaced. But just sad to see die was definitely
Slipknot. He was the one that died.
Captain Boomerang. I think because it was Jai Courtney and we were like, wow, we actually like Jai Courtney now after the first Suicide Squad.
Especially considering Joel Kinnaman and Margot Robbie were even better in this movie.
They were.
Yes.
I would have loved to see what they did with Captain Boomerang.
Yeah. I was hoping like he wasn't going to die and he was going to join them on the other side, kind of like Rick Flag and Harley Quinn do, because those two go on the island with Blackguard, Savant, TDK, Mongal, Javelin.
I like how Rick Flag's like, I didn't pick the team.
Yeah.
My favorite. All right, the one that I was. Wait, now what were the what was the question?
What was your favorite Suicide Squad member death, and then what's one you didn't like, or one that upset you?
I might choose the same for both. TDK. I really wanted to see like a whole TDK movie.
But what's interesting is when they showed life signs, it showed that he was just in critical condition.
Yeah.
But then they let it go.
TDK is Nathan Fillion, and he played. They ask him what's the initials for, and he's like, "That's my name."
Yeah.
And it stands for the detachable kid, where his arms come off and then apparently just slap people.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to see a lot more of that because it was so Three Stooges ridiculous.
Well, originally his name in the comics he's Arm Fall Off Boy, and he's part of the Legion or he tried out for the Legion of Superheroes. So like he's been around for quite some time.
Oh yeah.
89. That's 1989. He made his first appearance.
So I was sad with that. I mean, obviously, also I was sad with Polka Dot Man, but it made sense that his death came at the end of his character arc, where he embraced who he was and then he died. So I didn't want him to die.
The second he said, "I'm a superhero,"
yeah,
I was
we're like, "Oh no,
see ya."
We're like, it's over.
But I definitely, for me, the scene stealer. We'll each do a scene stealer. I think it's going to be pretty similar for all of us. I thought King Shark was a scene stealer. Anytime he had something to say, it was always funny. But you also got a sense of sadness for him. Like he's just like
he's soulful.
He's soulful. He's never like he even says, "I don't have friends.
Yeah,
don't know what to. I eat friends. No, eat friends." Like, and watching him like play with the fish, he was the character we kept thinking was going to die.
Yeah. We thought he was going to go the way of Groot did in the first Guardians.
Yeah,
but he was definitely my scene stealer. Ronnie, did you have a scene stealer?
No,
They all had.
I truly believe there's not. Everyone had a scene stealing moment.
Correct.
I think that's why it's hard to say this person's a scene stealer, because everyone had their moment, from John Cena to Margot Robbie. The only one I can see that really didn't, and you guys can obviously correct me if I'm wrong, is Joel Kinnaman. I feel like he didn't really have a scene that
he's kind of the glue that keeps everyone together.
He's the straight man of this group of killers and psychopaths. Really, his standout moment for me was when he actually fights Peacemaker.
Yeah,
and holds his own. Like, good for him. Like he does hold his own against Peacemaker.
I liked that this film had warring ideologies, and you saw it come out. Like, there was actually themes in this film, which is something that wasn't in the last Suicide Squad. It was in Batman v Superman. I will give it that. There are lots of philosophies that are debated in that, but in some of the films, like in a lot of them, it's just been devoid of that.
Yeah.
Now this film.
Do I get a scene stealer?
Oh yeah, please.
Sebastian the Rat.
That's fair.
Yeah. Anytime he was on, we're like, oh.
James Gunn is really good at adding character to a very limited speaking character role. Oh,
I'm going to go back to the deaths.
All right, I got
Wait,
two.
Hold on. You got to say it first before you raise your hand.
Say what?
And
Milton's death.
Milton.
Oh, Milton.
I'll be your friend, Milton. Not my name.
We had a 30-minute conversation. Probably one of the best scenes
when they're in the cubicles.
In the cubicles,
debating who Milton is.
Yeah.
I would have noticed.
Yeah.
This movie did everything right that the first Suicide Squad tried to do.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, like, the first Suicide Squad movie, when David Ayer made it, was a much more serious, I hate to say it, a DC movie.
Yes.
Then the studio stepped in and cut it up to try and make it more like Guardians of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. This movie took the two separate Suicide Squad movies, put them together, but then made them better.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Put it, like, basically blended it and then put it into a much better smoothie.
Yeah. This was definitely an R-rated Guardians of the Galaxy.
Now let's talk about.
Well, hold on. Before you do that, I have something just really quick, because we were talking about standout moments, and I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. That everyone had standout moments.
Yeah.
That this was very much, and this is what James Gunn does so well. He knows how to direct an ensemble.
Yeah.
He is good at giving everyone their moment. Even just like Calendar Man gets a moment.
Yeah.
Like he I would imagine that in life, probably growing up, James Gunn, and I know nothing about his childhood, but I would imagine he was probably a little bit of an outcast, because all of his films are about that outcast sort of becoming the hero they always thought they could be. And he really does have a love and a fondness for that rejected person. Yeah. Having said that, this is why I don't think Will Smith could have stepped in here.
The problem...
Hold on. Because Will Smith is kind of a scene hog. that unless he's doing rightfully so, unless he's doing like a drama, like I saw him in a trailer for the Serena and the Williams, like he blends completely in.
Yep.
When he does these action films and with any comedic intent to it, he like the air just gets sucked around him and it all goes to him. And Idris Elba just seems like such more of a team player. Like I loved the chemistry that he had with each, especially with
Ratcatcher.
I was going to say actually with Peacemaker. Although it was like, you know, they were against each other the whole time, there was a neat back and forth with trying to one up each other all the time.
I thought he had better chemistry with either Ratcatcher or Rick Flag.
Yes.
And all it was a simple line like, "Oh, I know him. We served together."
I think he and Rick Flag had great chemistry too.
You could be that guy.
But go ahead. Now
so the problem with ensemble films, especially when you have big names like Will Smith. Will Smith in Suicide Squad was the biggest name. Mm-hmm. So he was arguably the main
focus.
He was the focus of that movie. He was the emotional crux, all that stuff.
He is what brought the numbers.
And that to a point. So when you do a film with him, he has some say in it. Mm-hmm. James Gunn picked a cast of I don't want to say Idris Elba or especially Margot Robbie nowadays. They're not B-list actors, but they know how to play nice.
They're like A minus.
If Will Smith's going to do a role, he's going to be Will Smith in it, and rightfully so. Like he's worked hard in Hollywood all of his life. That's the problem with ensemble films. But let's go back to this movie because there are a few action set pieces. Now this movie does a really good job at balancing action and comedy and drama and all this.
And gore.
Yes. This movie is.
I will say it wasn't as gory as I thought it was going to be.
This movie. Correct. And we're going to talk about the R rating next, but just to give you guys a little heads up to where I'm going. But there's 4-ish big action set pieces in this.
Right? Yeah.
My personal favorite, and we'll go around. My personal favorite is the one of Peacemaker and Bloodsport in the camp.
Yeah.
Trying to outkill the other.
Yes, trying to one up.
Just to find out that they were all good guys.
Literally, in my head during that scene, I'm singing, anything you can do, I can do better. Oh, yeah. I could do anything better than you.
Of the action pieces, that's probably my favorite, followed by Harley Quinn's escape.
Yes.
Ronnie, that's your favorite,
That's my
Rob?
top. Yeah.
I was going to say that was my top too. And not because it's Margot Robbie, because we all know my love for her.
It reminds me of the Birds of Prey, the Prison Break, and it fit It fit everything with Harley Quinn. It wasn't anything she couldn't do or anything that was outside of the realm of possibilities.
Because I feel like people that don't know Harley Quinn just think she's like the damsel in distress,
or she's Joker's girlfriend.
Which she was in Batman the Animated Series.
But this shows like no, she can fight and be one of the guys, quote unquote, you know? Like, she can hold her own.
Like in Birds of Prey, yeah.
Exactly. She can kick some butt and everything. And then just the filmography, the shooting of it was great. And there was the comedic, there was like comedy involved with the violence as well, not just with the colors and everything, but when she's slamming the door on the guy's face.
That was a running a running gag in this movie. A lot of like consecutive face smashing.
You know, I that to me is up there. That's probably my favorite. That and the camp scene, like you said, are kind of like 1A, 1B for me.
It's very interesting when you get a movie where the final fight scene against the quote unquote, like Starro's not the bad guy of it, which is even like the Court of Maltese government's really the bad guy. But it says something about the film when the final fight is not the memorable.
No, it's about and the final fight is also not about the fighting; it's about the character arcs.
Yes.
So the last point I think we'll talk about, unless Rob, you had something that you want to say.
I wanted to say my favorite fight.
I thought you literally said that it was the Harley
just
Quinn
named
one.
It.
No, go ahead.
I loved it because it really gave us a glimpse into the way she sees the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I, in fact, as I was watching that scene, I was going, "This is my favorite scene." And I think this is going to stay my favorite scene as the film goes on, because it is just so well shot, and it's so centered around her. And I love to just to talk about her. You know, whereas the first movie was all about Will Smith and Margot Robbie, this film didn't have like a singular narrative focus. It was all about, you know, all of them had their own stories.
And to me, it started not even with the fight scene. It started with her monologue right before that when she shoots what's his name?
Oh, I don't remember the president.
The president, yeah. Oh my god, I can't remember
I
what his
know
name
who you
was.
Don't worry, we got this. We'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah, right.
A quick other thing. One of my favorite scenes, I don't know, which was not action, was Ratcatcher 2's scene where she's talking about her brother, and we're seeing the flash. That was her father.
That was her father.
Oh, father.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I meant father. And we're seeing the flashbacks in the window of the bus. Mm-hmm. I thought that was just such a creative way. Because one of the things they were teasing me about is the amount of exposition that's in this film. Which, granted, there's still a lot of exposition.
I would like to point out it was actually Paul. I didn't say one word about exposition. I just laughed at his comments.
There is a lot of exposition still. I think it's handled better than in the first Suicide Squad, but it's still a little heavy. He does this. He's this. He's like this.
To me, the first one did it better. I feel like
in terms of visuals,
like the visual aspect of it, I liked it.
Yeah, golfs with the 43 handicap or whatever, potato gun listed under weapons of choice.
Like to me, like they did it in a more fun way. Mm-hmm. But it was still, like you said, it was basically the same amount of exposition as the first one.
At least this way, the exposition kind of fit the story a lot.
Yeah.
Like
it
they
kept
weren't
it
just
moving.
Yeah, like they weren't just giving you information to give you information. It was because this is a scene where this character needs to know that, so we're going to deliver it.
All right. So last bit of discussion, because we are going a little longer than anticipated. Rated R. Does the R rating for this movie, is it necessary? Did it help? Is it why the movie's as good as it is? Because I think for the general consensus seems to be, without giving Star City ratings, that we all enjoyed the movie.
Yes.
The R rating is the more interesting aspect of it for me because, like I said, Marvel's never going to make an R-rated Marvel movie. I think that's safe to say.
Well, Ryan Reynolds is talking about Deadpool.
Ryan Reynolds is I think Deadpool is going to be the only outlier, and it's going to be very displaced. I could tell from the Marvel.
I agree.
From the MCU, the main MCU is never going to have an R-rated movie.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. The closest we got was the Netflix stuff, which you can listen to our episode on that for more conversation about that, and obviously the Fox X-Men stuff with Logan, and Deadpool, but this movie, R-rated for the violence and the language. I thought the language was going to be worse. Birds of Prey had more language, in my opinion. I think that this movie could have been made almost the exact same way with a PG-13 rating and still been just as good. I don't think the R rating necessarily was make or break. Ronnie, thoughts on the R rating?
That's a tough one because I kind of agree with you, but I think just based off of the characters you have, you needed to have that R rating. Harley Quinn alone is a R rating,
like her show,
Yes,
yeah.
And then obviously you see Peacemaker for the first time on screen, and you kind of
wieners,
like this, like Ratcatcher, Polka Dot Man, Rick Flag don't need R ratings. But Bloodsport, I mean, just his name alone requires an R rating almost nowadays.
I don't know. What was that Vin Diesel movie? Bloodshot. Bloodshot.
Yeah.
And that was PG-13.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I don't know. I think it not necessarily needs the R rating. I think if it was PG-13, I feel like we still probably would have all enjoyed the movie. But I think the R rating definitely makes it better.
Rob, thoughts on the R rating?
I gotta agree with Ronnie that I think the R rating did improve it. I thought it was. There were a few times where I thought it was gratuitous in terms of language. Like there was a few times where I'm like, all right, they're just dropping that to drop that. I didn't. And again with the violence, I thought it was going to be more gratuitous. I didn't think it was all that bad. I think there was,
and it had purpose to it.
It did have purpose. It served characters in the story, and that's what it should do. There were a few moments where it was a little bit gooier than it probably should have been, which I can excuse that a little bit. I thought the male nudity was a little weird.
Yeah.
There was it's rated R. One of the things it's rated R for is a brief glimpse of graphic nudity, I believe it's termed.
There are two shots. You have the female form and the male form.
Oh, the female is so just a quick shot.
Very quick.
You can,
but the male one is full frontal.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the male one is it's a quick shot at first, and then it zooms in on the actual kill shot, and you see up and down.
Which I guess that's for comedic effect.
Yeah.
No, I think the R rating was a smart choice. I think that's actually probably one of the draws. See, now for Birds of Prey, I felt there was gratuitousness in that like there were times when they were like, it was gratuitously sexual in nature with their language, and it was kind of weirdly thrown in. It didn't sound like the way people actually talk. Whereas, if these are people who are hardened criminals, they're going to curse.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. It doesn't make sense when, like, the Guardians of the Galaxy don't curse.
Yeah.
They probably do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Peter Quill didn't grow up on Earth. There are no curses in space. But I think we've said a lot about the film. I'm sure Rob's gonna have an article in the next day or two. Nothing.
I've said everything I had to say.
So, Star City ratings. Ronnie, you want to go first, or you need a second?
I could go first.
All right, hit it.
All right. I'm going to give this a 3.5 with room to grow.
That's
I think
solid.
Like I said,
Isn't that what they said about you in middle school?
yeah. And
Around.
surprise, I grew a lot.
Easy.
Gratuitous
male nudity.
Thank you for telling everyone I just dropped my pants. No.
You weren't wearing them to begin with. It was really weird when you walked in. But anyway, why was that guy not wearing pants?
Yeah, right?
No.
Anyway, 3.5 with room to grow. I would definitely watch this movie again. I would definitely recommend people to go see this movie. Like I said at the beginning, casting is great. You had everyone have a character arc in this movie, which I know is something that we all look for to see if the character grows, and everyone grew throughout this movie. And like I said before, filmography was great, cinematography, all that. The music I thought was great choices that they did and everything. Not too much to change with the movie, but it's not like there's no flaws to the movie.
Right. It sounds like it's more about you warming up more to it.
Rob?
I got to say, I got to echo Ronnie almost word for word. Like everything he just said, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
3.5, but I believe that will probably increase over time. I have to say, this is also one of the few DC movies where I'm like, I'd really like to watch that again. And in the immediate future, too. Because I think the first time seeing it, it's so absurd at times that my brain just can't possibly wrap itself around everything that's going on. But now that I know everything that's going to happen, I can appreciate all the nuances, and there are a ton of Easter eggs in here, too. And maybe that's the difference, too, is that James Gunn clearly likes comics, and that was always my complaint about David Goyer and Zack Snyder, that they seem to hate comics.
I would argue Zack Snyder about hating comics, because if anybody's going to make a comic come to life visually, he's the guy.
Maybe, but he just seemed to hate the concept of superheroes in general. Like he made being Superman kind of suck.
Which that's a discussion for another time, but I can understand that. But I like how, like, Marvel went the opposite with Tony Stark.
Okay.
Especially Marvel MCU Tony Stark is very different than comic book Tony Stark. They are completely different characters. Okay. Tony Stark, as said by Stan Lee, was written to be not likable.
Okay.
And he's an alcoholic. He's a womanizer. After the second half of Iron Man 2, they never addressed none of that stuff.
I don't know. I would argue that in Endgame, he's pretty unlikable.
He saves the universe.
He's a jerk, and when he won't get himself involved, he's constantly making disparaging comments about. But remember when he gets rescued from space, how negative he is about everybody? He's yelling at Cap about how, if you had only done this first.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But I can see what you're saying. But
I would agree 3.5, and again, this is one. See, Birds of Prey was one I'm like, I think I'd like to watch it again. And after I watched it again, I'm like, all right, I think I'm done. This is one I think that I could endlessly rewatch.
Yes.
I really think there's a lot to it, and I'll get better as time goes on.
Yes.
I'm going to give it a 3.5 also, and I think it can go down, it can go up. It's well above average, and it Easily. Is a great DC movie. My thing is, where is it going to sit? where is it going to change the flow of DC as a whole? Is it a standalone thing?
I hope so.
Because unfortunately, you have like a movie like Joker, which is critically acclaimed, but I hate. So,
yeah, I think we all
do. But like
good movie, just not a good comic book movie.
Oh yeah,
and a bad comedy.
Yeah, we'll get there. But for me, this movie, it was enjoyable. It did what it was supposed to. It left the door open for these characters to come back in ways that weren't the Suicide Squad.
Especially with Weasel.
Yeah. But like the end of Suicide Squad, really only Harley got out of the squad. The rest were all still locked up. And, you know, for the sequel, at least this, you can see where things can go. I really want James Gunn to come back for something else. I think he would do great with Green Lantern. I think that would be a really interesting James Gunn, to do the Green Lantern Corps.
The colors.
Would he do it like with his tone?
Yeah, I could see it. Especially to give him a character that can create anything. I would love to see what his mind comes up with. That's why I think Zack Snyder would have been better with Green Lantern than Batman and Superman.
Yeah, I think because
I think visually that would have been interesting to see.
As long as Jeff Johns isn't in there.
Yeah, but I do want to see more. It's DC, but it's not DC. It's its own thing, but it's also connected. So it's a very unique movie. So I want to see where DC's going to go.
I would like to see a trilogy.
I can see something like that. But that's going to wrap us up for tonight. We're going to do Fan Feedback Friday super quick for you guys. So I do believe... And guys is a generic term at this point. That's how I use it. But Fan Feedback Friday this week, what is a superhero movie or TV show, past, present, or future, that you would like to hear us discuss for an episode? So that's always a fun concept because there is so much property that we haven't even touched on. Like there's a lot of good stuff. We have I'm just gonna really quick run through these. Young Justice, The Adventures of Superman, George Reeves, Constantine the series, Superhero Squad, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, Titans, Unbreakable. I really want to do the Unbreakable trilogy at some point.
That would be a good idea.
And Why the Last Man.
Killing Joke.
I would love to talk about the Killing Joke and why they shouldn't have done what they did.
Yep. Yeah.
But I think that's going to wrap us up for tonight. If you guys want to hear a little bit more, you can find us on Facebook, which is the Multiverse Fan Cast, or the Misfit Faction. If you guys are fans of the Multiverse Fan Cast, if you can give the Misfit Faction also a like, it really helps us out. We are also really excited to announce. Ronnie, do you want to announce it? You look so excited.
I'll announce it.
Go ahead.
We are hitting episode 100. So this episode is 99. So next week's recording will be 100. We have a special episode for you guys. We're not going to do it really on a specific topic, but be on the lookout for that. It's going to be almost like a Q&A type of situation happening.
It's going to be a very positive episode.
Yes.
It's going to be... Not to give too much away because we want to kind of keep it close to the vest, but
I wish they would give it away to me because I have no idea what we're talking about.
It's going to be a lot of favorites.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. All right. It's going to be one of our favorite episodes. But with that, also, so you guys know, Cinematic Adventures, our sister podcast that's underneath the Misfit Faction, is actually coming up on their 50th episode. Actually, that's going to be the week after our 100th. So we're kind of planning a little giveaway as well. We're just figuring out logistics and everything like that, but be on the lookout. Within, I would say, before the 100th gets released, we'll have something out there about our little giveaway and everything.
So that's going to be announced on both our Facebook pages and our Instagram, which is the Misfit Faction, and it will involve some fan participation because you guys have been so great in the past. So keep an eye out for that. Our Instagram is the Misfit Faction. Our Facebook is Multiverse Fan Cast and Misfit Faction. You can find us on all of the podcasting apps, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Alexa, all that jazz. And you can also find our YouTube channel, the Misfit Faction Media Network. There's going to be a lot of content to celebrate. And also, we're going to be posting a lot of our older episodes, too.
Yeah.
Just to kind of give you guys a taste of what our
where we started and where we are now. Not just
horrifically.
Not just the sound of our beautiful voices, but also quality.
So that's going to wrap us up for tonight. As always, I'm Paul.
I'm Ronnie.
And I'm Rob.
And we will be back in a flash.
Smorgasbord.
See ya.